Big news, you've seen it all, Klaviyo's downfall, the billing update 2025, everything you need to know is basically summed up into this video. And I'm also going to show you how to basically easily save big bucks when it comes to your email marketing or Klaviyo. So this is probably you, this is the vibe with everything right now. Klaviyo, since going public, they are doing so many changes, especially in terms of the billing, and all email marketers and brands are kind of really hiding a bit. So yeah, let's quickly sum up everything that happened and what to do next. So it all started with this little screenshot, right? And essentially they are all, fluffing around, yapping around that essentially they're doing something, blah, 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 blah. Essentially they just like increased the bill. And they changed, or they actually reintroduced the way billing should have been all the time. What does that mean? Essentially, what happened in the past, which I'm going to go through in a second, let's go through that. So essentially what they did, or what it used to be, is they said you're getting charged per profile, but essentially you were charged per campaign sent, to how many people are you sending on a campaign level. Now they're completely changing everything to active profiles. So that basically means an increase in billing, and that's, to be honest, a big change. So the first question that arises everywhere pretty much is, should we think about different setups, different providers, Yotpo, Sentlane, MailChimp? And to be honest, it's a really good question, but in the end, as far as right now, we need to not look into like, okay, how can we minimize our costs? We actually need to see how can we be as ROI positive as possible. You've seen Facebook changes, you've seen all the different ad platforms getting more expensive, but you really never thought about changing it that much, because it's still kind of the best option, right? And that's pretty much the same with Klaviyo, at least for now. So despite all the adjustments, Klaviyo, in my opinion, continues to be the leading email marketing platform for e-com brands, at least for 2025. Let's see what happens throughout the process. So I would rather investing time looking for different alternatives. The most productive approach is, to be honest, to just adapt to those changes, adapt the billing, adapt the clean listing, which I'm going to show you in a second. As I said, if you go through this entire video, you have your account optimized, which essentially should help maintain your current pricing level. Because to be honest, a lot of accounts are just not really clean. So once you do that, it's not that big of a change. Awesome. So what exactly happened? As I said, we have profiles. This is, if you go into billing, this is how it should look like, or how it's probably looking like, right? You have email sent. There's like one metrics that they take a look at. It's like how many emails are you actually sending? And then it says how many active profiles you have, but it essentially was how many profiles are you sending per campaign, and then you have a maximum there. So you could have exceeded your plan's profile limit if, for example, you're sending to a campaign out and you send to 78,000 people, and you essentially have 140,000 active profiles. You can still use the plan of 80,000 active profiles, which essentially doesn't make sense, right? So now that changes, and essentially it's everything super strict in terms of the active profile. So they automatically adjust your plan, either tier you up or tier you down, depending on where you're at, based on the actual numbers of active profiles and your sending volume. Cool. So that changed. Now, why is that such a big thing? So to be honest, after handling dozens and dozens of accounts over the last 4 years, most brands, and our brands included, they just have like super large contact lists without really cleaning it up that much, because you just use the active engaged, and that's fine, right? That was fine back then. And like all the list maintenance wasn't really necessary, first of all, because no one really had that much knowledge about that. But also a lot of brands were like really scared of removing potential customers, which essentially doesn't make sense, because people are not interacting anyways if you clean it in the right way. And to be honest, they use Klaviyo as like a whole CRM instead of like an email provider. So they just kept everything inside. And to be honest, there was no reason to not do that, because you're not built for that. So why would you suppress that? So with the new system coming in, you need to keep the access profile at as low as possible, because it will increase your costs. So essentially you have two choices, right? You either accept the monthly payment, which you shouldn't, and the other option is basically clean it by removing unengaged contacts, basically everyone who will most likely not buy, right? So that means basically means that we need to clean our list, and then most of you probably are scared of doing that. But list clean does not mean losing people, because probably you're thinking like, how no way, I paid for all these people, I will not clean them up. But essentially, it's not really kicking people off your list. It's basically people that haven't been interacting with your emails anyways. So they were just literally being there without any purpose. So if you have 300K subscribers, but only 50K really open your emails, so those other 250K, they will never ever get an email at all at some point. So why would you keep them in the CRM? It doesn't make sense, right? So it will change, right? Like they were not getting emails through campaigns, they're not getting emails through your flows. They will literally not get any emails at all, despite, you know, if they re-interact with you with a brand. Then okay, but then you can get them later again. So the chances of those people coming back is very, very low, pretty much zero, to be honest. So it totally makes sense now to clean up the list, drop all the people who aren't engaging, so you're actually, you know, left with the people that interact with your stuff. So let's do that, right? So how do we actually clean your list? So I put a few segments together, and every little account is unique because there's like a different kind of, you know, engagement rates for different lists, and it depends on how, you know, you basically grew the list in the past. There are like so many nuances. I tried to come up with 4 segments that you can use for your account, and basically walk you through kind of the strategy. So what you can do right now is use those 4 segments and just like suppress everyone immediately. Or what you can try till the 18th of February, which will be the date where, you know, the billing changes, to squeeze a few of those little segments, cut them in half or like cut them in smaller segments, and just throw them in some of the engaged sending to try to get people back till the February 18th, because till then you can still, you know, afford to send a little bit, you know, some like within the campaigns to not overgo with the billing, but you need to be careful when it comes to deliverability, right? So here are a few segments that I put together. So the first one is the list clean one that we usually never ever send to. It's basically people who already received more than 15. You can do more than 10. However, you know, you basically can adjust that depending on your strategy. But usually we do like 10, 15. So they already got 10, 15 emails. They never opened a single one. Those people will most likely not end up doing anything with your email. So you can pretty much suppress them immediately. Segment 2 is a bit of a different one. So it's essentially people who marked your email as spam once, dropped, or bounced. And that's a bit tricky. So in the past, we used that, for example, for sales periods and stuff, because sometimes it could be that there's an issue where like it bounced because whatever, like the inbox was full, whatever it is. And then hypothetically, they would still interact with your brand. But nowadays, I would probably just clean them immediately because, you know, they bounced, they marked email as spam. You could just forget those people, to be honest. So that's list clean segment 2. List clean segment 3 is a bit of a different one. So it's basically people who haven't interacted in the last 365 days, and they are older than 365 days, right? So they are already like a year-old contact, and they already got more than 5 emails over all time, and they haven't interacted with your emails at all. They didn't open, they didn't click. So that's a bit of a like older segments. Could be that, you know, you started email marketing just recently and you don't have context for those brands, or it could be that those people never got an email in the thank you sequence or somewhere in between. Maybe they got added in a random way. There could be multiple reasons why they're on the list, but what it is that people, you know, have been on the list for 365 days. They already got more than 5 emails over all time and haven't interacted with them. So that's could be a segment that you could delete. Segment 4 is a bit of a different one, but also kind of the same. So it's essentially people who are older than 365 days. And by the way, like all of these days, you can adjust them accordingly, like depending on, you know, how your brand is structured and stuff like that. So here you should look at people, leads that you have on the list that are either older than that are older than 365 days, but they also got no email at all. So that could be a big issue as well, right? Because, you know, for whatever reason, they didn't get an email. So you can try to get those, but if someone didn't get an email for 365 days, now they get an email and have the context for your brand, very unlikely. So as I said, same here, you can pretty much delete those, maybe try to, you know, loop them into the 18th of February in 2 weeks. But other than that, that's not really someone who will buy again, most likely, because they literally don't have context with emails. And that's the big thing, like with all those segments, it's not that those people will never ever buy again or like are not interested in your brand. It's just that the medium email is not what they are using. So it could be, for example, a dead inbox. It could be someone is not using that email anymore. It could be whatever the reason is, you just don't want them to be in Klaviyo because now you're getting billed for that, right? So that's basically the 4 segments that you should do. Now a little bit of deleting or suppressing. What is really the difference? You have 2 choices within Klaviyo. You can either delete those profiles or suppress them. What I would do is I would first of all export all of those segments to have them somewhere. Just save them somewhere. You never know how you can use that, maybe for some lookalike audience on Facebook, or to exclude them on Facebook, whatever it is, just use them. Data is really good to have somewhere, so just store it somewhere, and then I would just suppress them. I would not delete them because it's still good to have like context data points within Klaviyo for these contexts, but you don't want to like delete them, right? Suppressing just basically means they cannot receive email marketing anymore. So we'll definitely exclude those, suppress those, export those, and that's basically the entire rundown on how to do that. Here you can go through basically how to export that, but I'm not going to show you that in this video. So that basically sums up the current state when it comes to Klaviyo. So still to this date, Klaviyo is kind of the undefeated champion there. We're still looking into like other providers and potentially moving there, but for now it's still the best. And if you do those list cleaning segments, you clean your list, it's not a huge change. Awesome. Thank you so much for your attention. If you want us to clean your list, handle all of that and make sure that you are built correctly, then make sure to schedule your audit. There's a link in the description you can click on, gets you to my scheduler. We have a super chill conversation, and by the end, you definitely know how to save big bucks and how to make more big bucks through your emails. Thank you so much for your attention. See you in the next one. Bye.